Welcome to all the beautiful souls aligned with this great channel, the Pyramid Meditation channel in English, where we present the spiritual wisdom from the book Thinking and Destiny, authored by Harold Baldwin Percival. The book is very unique in many aspects. Firstly, it has taken almost 30 years to write the book by Harold Percival, and it shows very clearly the amount of involvement that the author has had in bringing out all the knowledge that he had got in the course of his myriad experiences while he was walking in New York on 14th Street, when a series of lights summing up to almost multitudes of suns entered his body, and from then on he got connected to the messages being conveyed by the astral masters. So he is humble enough to say, I am no preacher, I am no teacher, neither am I the author of whatever has been said in this book. Through this book we have learnt quite a lot of spiritual matters, and thanks to Brahmarshi Pitamaha Patriji, who had read the book almost 20 years back, and he has now chosen to give the messages from this book by highlighting important aspects of spiritual wisdom for the benefit of all the spiritual speakers around the world. I am S.K.Rajan, a senior meditator attached to the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement and now the Vice Chairman of the Indian Federation of Spiritual Scientists. I take pleasure presenting to you the matters contained in this book, and I am accompanied by Brahma Vidvarishta Girija Rajan, my life partner, who is also presenting and giving her thoughts from the passages from this book.
Namaste.
Today's topic is group destiny, or we call it group karma. Karma means action, and action includes word, thought, and deed. So now off I go to this chapter on group destiny. Group destiny is a destiny which affects alike a certain number of people. Their thoughts have made that destiny for them. Members of a family may have a certain destiny in common. They have the same ancestry, traditions, and honor, and are related to a locality and share to a certain extent social and cultural connections. Often their common destiny is the lack of all this except locality and ancestry. Sometimes similar physical features appear among the members of a family and are designated as hereditary. In some families, the members continue to be reborn through several lives. They receive what they have given to the family name and standing, or have allowed to happen to it. Group destiny may affect the members of a family for 1 or 2 generations only, or may extend through centuries. People are drawn into a family and kept there by similarity of thought. As long as that similarity lasts, the family is held together. Formerly, land ownership with entail or the mere living in a locality was the means of establishing and perpetuating a family. In modern times, the thought has changed and land is no longer the chief means of continuing a family. Sometimes mutually hostile thoughts draw people into the same family and its group destiny.
This is a very interesting subject, group destiny. That is, what is destiny? What we easily call as karma. But karma means it is not only actions, what we do through our thought, what vibrations we create through our thought, what we produce sound waves through our words and through our actions, whatever is being done is also karma. And the effect of it, of our thought, word and deed, the effect is also called as karma. So both cause and effect together are named as karma. So now we refer to karma mostly the bad karma, not the good karma. Usually it is referred like that. Here group karma means group destiny that is being talked about today is we mean the bad karmas. That is what we have done or by through our words or thoughts what bad we have created for others. That comes back to us. That is the rule. That is the law of karma. So in this pyramid spiritual societies movement, another aspect that we have to learn is law of karma. Definitely, what we create for others, not only humans, for the plants or the whatever we bad things we create to the animals, animal kingdom, plant kingdom, or other kingdoms, whatever is created by us comes back to us in giving us more difficulty, more problems, so that we learn the lessons properly, come to an understanding, and then mature. Our maturity dawns in. So for that, this life is being set on the basis of the karmic pattern that we have created for ourselves. So this group destiny or karma that comes to a group of people. Group of people may belong to one family or belong to one society where they live in, or to a city where people live in, or the whole nation itself. Now, in the present condition, the whole world, the group karma is there. That's what we are seeing nowadays, the COVID-19 situation. So how this has been caused like this? That is what we have to understand, what Percival has to throw light upon this, what light he gives, what information he gives. Yes, we'll take it. So what he says is, when people live in, they create one family because of landed property or because of the climatic conditions or the situation or the locality that they belong to. So they want to continue in that. The generation after generation, it will be continued, and it is known as the heredity, commonly known as heredity, and like that it passes on. But many people who have had similar thought, similar pattern of thoughts, they come into this group destiny. They come together either as a family or, as I said earlier, up to the nation and the whole world also. So we have been entertaining such thoughts, similar thoughts, the outcome of which is received by us either instantaneously or after several years, several thousands of years. Also it is possible. So one thought which is generated gets its energy and goes on to materialize, to be effective, either immediately or many lifetimes. So what happens is, people are born into the same families again and again because of the same pattern of thoughts that we have been entertaining. That is what Percival says. And they come back to have, either they will enjoy the wealth that they would have amassed during their lifetime here, earlier lifetimes, in the same family, or they would have come to undergo the same pains and difficulties that they would have created during their lifetime here. So they come back to the same family. Likewise, same society, the same nation, and the same world, we come here because of group karma, group destiny. Because all our thought patterns have been similar or same or similar, whatever it is. So that is why that generates all this karma, and that is why we come here, we are born here to undergo all that. But never think that karma is bad enough to give us only bad things. No, it is we who create all these things, to undergo all these things, so that we will be learning such a lot out of that bad experiences, what is so called bad experiences, and then come out of it. Then we start thinking that it is no more bad, problematic. Everything in life becomes a challenge. After undergoing, after learning, we challenge everything that comes to us. We accept and take it as a challenge and go through it and come out of it. That is how we should live. That is exactly what Percival also mentions. So how to overcome that, what is exactly group karma and how to overcome it.
Persons share in the group destiny, that is, the physical conditions of their community, because their thoughts had or have something in common. These bring them into the same hamlet or town with common conditions and interests. Though the separate destinies in such communities vary, there is some bond of common thought that draws persons into and keeps them in the locality. There they have a common language, physical environment, neighborhood, customs, and pleasures. There they intermarry and there meet a common fate in times of prosperity, adversity, epidemic, fire, inundation, or war. What each person receives in a common disaster is an exteriorization of his own past thoughts. If the common fate does not coincide with the cycle of any thought of those present in such a locality, they escape. So it is that there are miraculous exceptions from the general fate when many are brought together and made to suffer, as in a shipwreck, a burning theatre, a collapsing building, a flood, or in religious or political persecutions.
See, we can see this every day, what is happening to people belonging to a community or belonging to a locality, how they come across so many difficulties in life. So why this happens? Because they have got a common thought to live in that community. That is why they are drawn together. They may be born somewhere else, but they will be drawn together because of the thought. The power of thought brings us all together in that community. Like it brings us all into one family. Because family definitely needs a common thought that we should be in one family. That thought has been created so many thousands of years back, that comes out and it materializes at one stage. And that is why we are born in that family, in that particular area or particular community or particular town where so many calamities may happen. They all will have to suffer that because they have got a common thought that this should happen. Our karma should be nullified by these experiences. That is what we plan, we think in those times before we are born. And it's all previously we all planned, everything is planned. And we come here and we undergo that. But there are some exceptions to it. Some escape this also. How is it possible? Some people, those who will be there in the locality, would have gone out on a tour somewhere else, that particular one family, where there are 1,000 families living in a locality, one family would have gone out for some trip somewhere. So at that time, some calamity might have happened here. As he says, out of fire, out of some shipwreck, so many other things, floods, some earthquakes, like that, so many calamities. We keep on seeing all that. Some families would have gone out. At that time, this would have happened. How it is possible? How do they escape? That's a big question, isn't that so? It's because they have partly been there, the thought, but the full part they have not entertained that thought. Only to be in that locality is only that part is satisfied, or that is materialized. The other part to undergo the suffering is not their cup of tea. Because their thought were different. So that is why they go away from the scene. So all these things happen. Say how everything is being planned and how we act according to that. We don't even understand. We don't even stop to think and analyze all these things, because our time is consumed by something else that is more material. So we should now sit back, think, and understand all these points, so that we know exactly what type of thoughts we should entertain, how to think, how to go about life, how to do things without attracting any karma. All these things are there to be learnt. Such a lot to be learnt here spiritually. So this book, Thinking and Destiny, definitely paves way for all that and gives us a complete picture of what are all the things behind everything that is happening here. We know all these things that has been read out now. We all know that. So, but we do not know the fact, what is behind it, what has caused all these things. The cause is unknown to us. So when we explore, definitely we'll come to know about the cause. Then the effect can be nullified, it can be minimized. That is how we should live. Exactly what is the advice of Percival sir. We'll once again thank Percival for this great knowledge, great wisdom that he's sharing with all of us.
People are born into a nation or race because their thoughts and the disposition and character made by them draw them there. They make the general spirit, character, peculiarities, and tendencies of the race and develop, strengthen, or change them. The people make the spirit, which is the god of the race. They create it by their thought. It breathes through the representatives of that race, hence comes indifference toward or prejudice against those who do not belong to or who oppose the national spirit. All who think similarly are drawn to the spirit and are eventually born into the race, where they share its group destiny to the extent to which their thoughts can be exteriorized at the time and condition and place. Generally, the people who are of any race belong there naturally by the degree of development of their doers and bodies. Some, however, are born into a race to get special training. Some because they have persecuted the race, some because they are entitled to special benefits from it, and some because they have to do a certain work for it. All share the group destiny.
It's so very interesting to know how this group destiny is formed. See, for example, the same thought will be entertained by a group of people, and they form a nation, and the nation itself has to undergo so many problems or difficulties. Like take for example our India, so many countries. In that we can take the example of our own country, where for Indians I am telling, for other nationals, yes, there are other examples also. But for us, we all had, I think at that time, before the English started ruling our country, we all entertained the same thought. That is why we became servants of that rule, under that rule. So what happens? What happened? So we became a enslaved nation for not 1 or 2 years, for 300 years. So that is how the power of one thought joins together to form a spirit, and then it materializes beautifully. So very wonderful. But at the same time, the same people who come together to undergo that, they all came again together to overcome that. They wanted freedom. So that thought, again the thought comes. So the group thought, it forms the group destiny. So there will emerge one leader who has to do so much out of it. Some people who are very fortunate, that is those who would have done very good karmas, they will enjoy in that adverse situation also. Some people may be enjoying. And some people will undergo all the pains. And some will emerge as leaders to overcome or change the destiny. So this is how it is. So in group karma also there will be varied different people, because they are in different stages of evolution. So it all depends upon the doer again, at what stage the doer is. Then if it is a mature soul, then definitely he can come out, he can emerge as a leader to overcome all these problems. Like we got Mahatma Gandhi. There are very many people who were fighting for our freedom. I am telling this as an example. We were fighting for our freedom, but amongst that, one great leader emerged because his strong thoughts made him come out, emerge as a leader, and he created thoughts in the minds of all the people to get independence from that rule. So that is how it has come to us, and that too without any violence. That is what was the underlying principle. Without any violence, we will get our freedom. So that was one like that, and the whole world knows about it. So now we can very well understand by taking example of India, what group destiny is. So in that way, we have come out of all those struggles, and we struggled hard to win it, but yet that struggle was worthwhile, and that is how we overcome those thoughts which are not balanced. They materialize, they are manifest. Those thoughts can be nullified, and we can get out of the problems. That is how it is. Of course, it needs a little bit of struggle, or other means are there through which we can get out of. By using our intelligence, definitely we can get out of most of the problems that we face. If we take it as a challenge, no problem is a problem at all. So life will be much more smoother, easier to live here. That is what is taught in the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement by Brahmarshi Patriji, and also all the other great masters who are connected to this movement.
At the time of an unusual calamity, as in periods of famine, defeat in war, oppression by a hostile nation, uprisings and lawlessness, outsiders are there to share the group destiny. These outsiders are born into a race as naturally as those who belong to it, so as to be there at the time when these disasters happen. They have exteriorized to them through the public calamity that they have attracted to themselves by their own thoughts. The same is true of those doers who come in to participate in a period of achievement, refinement, and splendor. The rise or fall of a nation is due to a particular thought which becomes the national thought. The same thought that is exteriorized in the power and greatest achievement of a nation is often the cause of its decline, fall, and disappearance. A set of people generates the thought and develops it. Others are drawn in by the similarity of their thoughts and aid in the building of a nation through the exteriorization of its dominating thought. Some thoughts are powerful enough to keep a nation up for centuries before it is given over to inferior doers or sinks away or is effaced. The complete disappearance of a people like the Egyptians or the ancient Greeks is evidence that at the crucial times there were not enough people to give to the national thought a new impetus that would carry the nation through the accumulating exteriorizations of its past thoughts.
So he has given a very good example of group karma. When we take the country Egypt, it was a very glorious country, as we have studied in our history books. Definitely those days were fantastic. Egypt was regarded as a very, very great nation. It was at the peak of its glory. Why it becomes like that? It is because of the exteriorization or the materialization of their thoughts, of the people who lived there. But there were not enough people at a time. Of course, at that time there were enough people to have that thought, but they should hold on the thought, and the others who come into the race as time goes by, those people also should have strong thoughts to keep the nation to that level always. It went on for a very long period. After that, it faced decline. One by one, the decline was there, started. Then it came to a very low level. Then at that time, there were not enough people, the original people, who held the thought for a long time. So the others couldn't match up, and because the energy of the thought was not enough to hold the country in the same glory. So we know how now the condition of that country. So like that, the fall of a nation is also because of that, or the splendor or the glory that a country enjoys is also because of the thoughts of the people of that country. Some people may come from outside also, but if they have got entertained similar thoughts, they may either participate in the glory or they participate in the calamity according to their thoughts. So this is what is happened. They may not be born in that country. They may be foreigners. They may come to that country for on some work, and they have to suffer all these things. We have been seeing that. From somewhere they will go, but they will participate in the building of that nation in so many ways. They became even emerge as great leaders. Whereas in some cases, their thoughts make the whole thing different, life itself different. So it is made clear by Percival G that it is only the thoughts of people that a country can be glorious or a country can be devastated, and it will go into nothingness, and it will be effaced from the face of the map of this world. So that is what has been happening to many countries. So we have been seeing all that. So it is the thought, it is the individual thought that forms the country's destiny. So remember this, our individual thoughts do contribute to the national happenings. That is what Percival clearly says.
If the thoughts are and have been in the past directed towards individual advantage or public conquest, to deceit or oppression, they are exteriorized in public calamities. These thoughts would make an end of the political entity as a state, but nearly always there is someone who has a broader vision and creates a new thought or a new feeling or a modification of those which exist. In this, he is assisted by some of the complete triune selves who watch and help the world. Thus, the nation gets over the critical period. Of course, no one man alone could save a nation. There must be a sufficient number of persons who support the regenerating thought, and if they can obtain a preponderance of thought, the nation goes on. Otherwise, it declines. So, friends, as we heard just now, that India is a good example of group destiny insofar as the freedom movement is concerned, because it was the thought of one great individual, great Karma Yogi, Mahatma Gandhi, who led the freedom movement and brought about a national thought of getting out of the slavery from the British. And that is how group destiny has worked. And there are other cases where earthquakes have taken place or other natural calamities like tsunami has occurred due to the indifference of the citizens to national well-being or to the well-being of animals, plants, and flora and fauna. So, in such cases, what has happened is they have been affected by natural calamities, and which we normally, as an ordinary layman, call it as a tragedy or a calamity. But as a member of the Pyramid Spiritual Society's movement, it is incumbent upon us to read Richard back and understand that the mark of the ignorance of a person is the depth of his belief in injustice and tragedy, which obviously means that there is no tragedy in life and everything is caused by one's own thinking. We once again come back to what our great author Harold Baldwin Percival has said, that proper thinking will create a good destiny. So, our thinking is what creates the destiny, and it is not a tragedy or a calamity. So, we have to understand in the light of this that group destiny, if it is exercised properly, we will get the best of times for us to follow and for us to lead and be in a blissful state while we are on this planet Earth. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.